Hello, hi, welcome to the episode on Geography to GIS, an overview. This is the first episode in the series in which how GIS is used for smart governance, GIS for smart governance. So, in that series this is the first lecture, and in this we will be discussing what is geography, how it is related to our daily life, and how now it has evolved into a more sophisticated ICT enabled system which we call geographical information system. And now let us see what are the things that are actually geographic, and maybe knowingly or unknowingly many are geographic, and that is related to our daily work, life, education, many things are actually connected to geography. So, let us take some examples like choosing where to live. The location of that particular place is actually geographic, and which way to go to work, whether you will be taking the highway, whether you will be going by road or by train, that are all geography. That is, select which way to go to work. Then knowing the amenities, where supermarkets are available, shopping malls are there, doctors' offices, local schools, that are all again geography. And some more examples, if we say choose a place to visit on holidays like picnic spots, tourist centers, and then we should know, that is, how to get there, that is also important. Then suppose if you are going for, or we are planning for a long trip, so it is very essential that the local and global environmental changes we should know. Maybe we are going to a hill station, the temperature, the climate may be different, so we must be prepared for that. So, we must be prepared for long trips. Then for an example, on a long car trip, we must be able to know where we will be getting the next motel, so that we can have a nice food. So, that is also geography again, that is, we must understand where the next motel will be available. Then regarding the tastes, the cuisines and all, we must be knowing, or we have an idea that where ethnic or cultural restaurants will be located in a city. Whatever be the nature of the city, the configuration of the city, we have that geographical sense, so that we know where these particular cuisines are available. And suppose we are going for, we are waiting for a job posting, national or international or out of state or out of the country. So, we must be prepared for that background, and we must be prepared with that background material for the location, so where we will be posted. And then coming to our own neighborhood, just walking around our own neighborhood itself is something that is related to geography, so that we are back to home safely. So, that is also controlled by geography, or knowingly or in our unconscious mind we are following the geography of that particular region. And again, suppose we have parked the car in a parking place, and after some time we are back to that place, and we are identifying where exactly we have parked that car. That is also a geographical sense that is working in ourselves. Then again, suppose especially during the times of power failure and all, we are able to walk around the house without even stumbling to a single furniture or anything, that we are not stumbling into that, because our geography, the internal geography of the house is, our home is, that is working in ourselves. So, that is again geography in that. And suppose we are into a new place, a strange city, and in the evening, that maybe from our work we are back to our hotel or a lodge, our dwelling place, our residential place. So, we are coming there. So, maybe for the first time we may be having some difficulty, but next time onwards we know that in which way we have to go, like that. And again, so if we are going for, especially during weekends, we may be knowing which are the places of recreation, where it can be found and how to get there. And in the most recent case, recent in the sense that we are all sports loving people. So, which team to follow, that is maybe Arsenal or Manchester United or whatever it is in the international level, or when you come to ISL and all. So, which one to follow. So, that is also geography, we know that. And before the advent of, or before the coming of the ISL and all, we used to know Mohan Bagan, Churchill Goa, like that. So, even then we are actually following the geography. And then when we are in a new place, new area outside our country, maybe our at least our state, our own home state. So, maybe in the next, today we are here and the next morning we may be in another state. Suppose we take the example of Chennai. maybe we are there. So, maybe if we have to decide which newspaper to buy, that is also controlled by geography there, because a person from Kerala, maybe he may be reading a Malayalam newspaper, but when he is there, he or she is outside the state, and suppose he is in Chennai, maybe he will have to choose whether he will be going for Dinathanthi or Dinamalar or Deccan Chronicle or the Hindu, whatever it is. And that is also another area which is again controlled or influenced by geography. And then maybe we are getting when we are into the market or in our malls, we are getting the producers, very fresh producers are available, and we must be having that idea that how it is coming, how that uninterrupted flow of materials are there, and what are the international interactions and how those flows of goods are happening, that is also geography. And then knowing the directions, it is also, say for example, if that is knowing whether Trichur, a town in Kerala, in central Kerala, whether that is north or south of Calicut, which is a town in Malabar. So, that is also simply put, that is also geographic. Then why it is difficult to build houses on steep slopes with unstable soils, that is also controlled by geography. So, it is not possible, we know that is actually a common sense, but why that particular slope is there, why that particular type of soils are there, and why it is not possible to make a stable home there. So, that is also geography. And then we may be wondering that how people are still dwelling in areas which are continuously attacked or continuously visited by hurricanes, the areas which experience floods and tornadoes, and sometimes wildfires are happening, and some areas are seismically vulnerable, earthquakes are happening, and sometimes emissions from chemical or nuclear industrial plants have occurred, but still people are dwelling there. Then what could be the reason for that? What is the attachment? Why it is geographically controlled? That are all areas where geography is controlling our daily life. Suppose, how can we understand, or how we will be evaluating a person whether he or she is geographically informed person? So, we can say that a geographically informed person is one who sees meaning in the arrangement of things in space. Why the things are arranged in such a way? Why it is so? Why we are getting this particular river here? Whether it is originating from that particular mountain or this particular hillock, whether it is a first order stream or a second order stream or a third order, how far the basin is. So, these are all things that is, we can say that a person who knows all these things in the arrangement of things in space, if he is knowing that, we can say he is a geographically informed person. And another criteria we can say, or another parameter by which we will be understanding whether the person is geographically informed or not, is that he who sees relations between people, places and environments. How people, places and environments are related. And another thing is that who uses geographic skills, that is how to go, that is how to use the maps, how to use the compasses, and how to find the ways. Suppose we are in a new place and using the geographic devices or geographic utensils or whatever we call that, that is the things that we will be using in the field, using geographic skills if he is able to further in his life and work. So, we can say that that person is geographically informed one. And then he who applies spatial and ecological perspectives to life situations, that is very important. For example, when we know that, especially in the case of the southern states like Kerala and all other areas, so we know that is the control, I mean the climate or the monsoon, that is a peculiar thing that is associated with the southern states, and that is controlled by the Western Ghats, and we know that, and the ecological perspective comes in that way, that is the presence of the Western Ghats is a must. It should be there, the water tower of Kerala especially, and also the southern states. So, that is a must, and then that is what we say, that is ecological perspective of a geographically informed person is very much interesting, and that he will be utilizing that information in that. Okay. And another thing is that the world can be viewed in spatial terms. So, first thing is the world can be, when we say that the world can be viewed in spatial terms, we mean that using maps, globes and geographic representation, we are using these things to acquire, then process and report the information about the world. So, that is actually the world in spatial terms we mean. Then using mental maps to organize information, that is also that, because for example, if we are into a new place and we have some ideas, sometimes maybe from the maps or some now especially the Google Maps and all which we have, that are all glued to our mobile phones or tabs. So, we have some mental maps and also the maps which is there, that are helping us. So, use mental maps to organize information, that is another way of seeing the world in spatial terms. Then the third one is analyze the spatial organization of people, places and environments. Say for example, if you go with the that is color complexion of various peoples. So, we know that are all associated with the climate. So, when we know that the people who are dwelling very much near to the equator are having dark complexion. So, we do not have any other feeling. So, when you are geographically informed and when we know that people, environment and places are interrelated. So, we have no wonder that is the people, whether they are from Africa or India or whatever be the region which is very much near to the equator, there is no tension at all, we can say. That is, they are very much, that is the complexion of our skin is very much controlled by the climate and also the geographical position of the country where we are dwelling. And then again, if you go in detail about the places and regions, human and physical characteristics of places, as that is just like the example what we have seen, that is the color complexion. So, the human and physical characteristic of places is another area where we can see the world in geographical terms. Then especially different regions are there, we know that in terms of climate, in terms of geographical regions. So, we have, so actually why it is created? It is created to interpret the Earth's complexity in terms of climate, in terms of the insolation, the incoming solar radiation, and also we are keeping different regions. And then we know that the culture and experience influence people's perceptions of places and regions. That is another area, that is geographically, even a geographically informed person may be having a particular perception about a particular area until and unless he is there, he or she is there. And once we experience that particular area, we will understand that, okay, this is the case. It is not exactly as we have known from the literature or from somebody else's narration or narrative. And then coming to the physical systems, which the physical process that shape patterns of Earth's surface. So, that is also very important. We must understand that how a particular culture is developed, how it belongs to that particular part of that particular part of the Earth. So, and also then the characteristics and distribution of ecosystems, that is also very important, because where we are dwelling. So, what is the nearest ecosystem, whether it is a fluvial one, where it has been developed. So, understanding the ecosystem is also another area. So, understanding the physical systems is also geographic. And then coming to the human systems. So, the characters, distribution and migration of humans is one area. Then the characters and distribution of cultures, so that is another area wherein again geography is influencing. Then patterns and networks of economic interdependence. Patterns and networks of economic interdependence is another area wherein we should know about, or we study more about human systems, and actually indirectly we are studying geography, the human geography of that particular region. Then the process, patterns and functions of human settlements. So, how, whether the human settlements that has taken shape long back is still continuing, or has there been any change over time. So, that is again interesting to know. So, again the conflict and cooperation of different areas. So, that is also geographic. So, conflict and cooperation in different regions. So, now again how wars are generated, how battles are being fought, what is the reason for that, that are all again geographic, and especially, so now we say the geopolitics is controlling that particular areas. Then coming to the environment and society. So, geography is a inevitable part, the understanding, the knowledge, the information about geography is an unavoidable part, inevitable part that we should understand. How human actions modify the physical environment, that is very important. So, we cannot simply separate both, the human systems and physical system cannot be separated, it is a continuous thing, it is an interrelated thing. Then how physical systems affect human systems, the other way also, how human actions modify the physical environment and how physical systems affect human systems. Then the meaning, use, distribution and importance of resources, that is also the study, or wherein again we are using the geographic information, the geographic knowledge. Then ultimately how do we use geography is to apply geography to interpret the past. To interpreting the past we should know geology, or we should know geography, or we should know earth science. Then interpreting the present and also plan for the future, that is also again the use of geography or earth science. And we know that geography as a discipline, that was only as a discipline geography took shape only in the 16th century. Before that, man has always wished to explore and also represent the places where he lives. That were all happened. And when we go through Earth's history, or human history, we understand that migration of different cultures, migration of different people from one place to other, that are all there. And then we know that how people have migrated, how people have gone, that is surrounding the world, how it was started. All the journey started tracing itineraries to reach various places and identifying favorable sites for agricultural use, were the beginning of geography actually. So we know that all civilization started in the banks of the major rivers where the fertile soil was available. So that was a geographic knowledge, that the entire area that where we have got fertile soil, and especially when we talk about Nile, the entire country of Egypt was evolved due to, and we say that that is a, what do you say, that is a gift of Nile. Egypt is called as gift of Nile. That is again, that is a geographic contribution. Then geography, now it has evolved from that classical science or a science discipline. Now it is an ICT enabled system, ICT enabled discipline, that it is through network systems, data flow analysis, knowledge of economic factors, and the socio-political organization of the territory, and that has now become an interdependent discipline, and that supplies a synthetic vision of our planet and of the complex relations between physical and man-induced phenomena. So from a simple branch of science, it has evolved into something that is very big, and that what has contributed to that growth is, it is nothing but the technological growth which has influenced or which has enhanced the technology for observing the Earth. So the rapid expansion of the Earth observing systems by means of satellites, then the ground survey equipments, global positioning systems, photogrammetry, multi and hyperspectral remote sensing from airplane and satellite, and now we know that with the advent of drone cameras and all, now we are getting beautiful, highly with good spatial resolution, high resolution satellite images. So with that, looking to the Earth is very important, and we say that that is the eye from the sky. We say that is the aerial photography or photogrammetry or satellite remote sensing, that is giving more power to geography. The visualizing power is multifold, enhanced multifold. Then the resulting data and information are presented in digital and numerical layers that are managed by the geographical information system, which is nothing but the information technology is glued to, or that is blended with geography. And then when we go to the advanced level, we say it is decision support systems and the expert systems are there. And now we use an umbrella term which is called as geomatics or geoinformatics. So how or why that geomatics was developed is because a large amount of data has to be managed, and that has to be organized, processed and handled, and that has to be used by the end users and also administrators, planners and all, and without delay for a correct representation of the territorial situation. And how it can be done is because of a particular discipline of which GIS or Geographical Information System is a part or a contributing discipline, and that the mega umbrella term is called as geomatics. Okay. And in that, the elements processed in an interdisciplinary and interoperable manner, and that discipline is satisfying the requirements of handling the large amount of data in an organized and processed manner. And the term geomatics was coined in the year during the 1980s, and actually the credit goes to the Laval University in Canada for coining the term geomatics. That was in the 1980s they coined the term and the umbrella term geomatics. And then we know that that period's revolutionary intuition was based on the geographic location of each object on our planet. That geographical location has got a major place in everywhere, in all walks of life, just like we have seen in the beginning of this episode. That is how geography is controlling or how that is influencing. And that period's revolutionary intuition, the 1980s revolutionary intuition, is because of how geography is controlling, how that can be blended to informatics. And geomatics or geoinformatics is defined as a systemic, multidisciplinary, integrated approach to selecting the instruments and appropriate techniques for collecting, storing, integrating, modeling, analyzing, retrieving at will, transforming, displaying and distributing spatially georeferenced data from different sources with well-defined accuracy characteristics, continuity and in a digital format. So geomatics is for all this, and that is why, so we can see that the functions that is done by geomatics, that requires that only single discipline cannot do that. So that is why, as I told, it is an umbrella term, and so there are contributing disciplines or constituting disciplines. And of course the first constituting discipline in that case is computer science, and that is used to represent and process applicable information through the development of technological instruments and of methods, models and systems. And then the second part is the geodesy, which is used to determine the shape and size of earth, because everything is related to location, everything is related to earth. So, the exact position, exact size, exact shape of the earth should be determined in such a way that the position in terms of the coordinates, say it can be latitude, longitude and also the elevation. So, for that we use the geoid or the complete form of the earth or the actual shape of the earth, the geoid, as well as in its simplified form the ellipsoid. So, we have different reference surfaces that is used, and also the external gravitational field as a function of time, that is also used. Then as the computer science, we have seen informatics as a discipline comprises both the computer technologies, that is both the hardware and the software components are included in the included when we say computer science is a major branch of geomatics. Then we know that is the survey part is carried out with the term or with the branch which we call topography, which is a combination of methods and instruments to comprehensively measure and represent details of the earth's surface. And for that we are adopting different methods, say like planimetry, to determine the relative positions of the representation of points on the earth's surface with respect to same reference surface. Then we have, when you go with the altitude, we are actually measuring the height. Then we have the tachymetry for the planimetric and altimetric survey of the earth zones. Then the land surveying, which we were using with the chain survey, we know, and now it has come to DGPS surveys, differential DGPS and other surveys. The land surveying is another constituting discipline. And as we have seen, in the case of geodesy, we know that there are two things happening actually, or two branches are continuously operating. One is gravimetry for the determination of the earth's gravity and its anomalies, and second one is the positioning astronomy, that is another branch of gravimetry, another branch of geodesy, and that is used to locate the exact position with respect to the celestial bodies. So, that is another area. And cartography, cartography is the branch of geography or branch of science which deals with the map making. Okay. And a beautiful definition for cartography, or a beautiful definition for map that has been given by the International Association of Cartography, that is, a map is a symbolized image of a geographic reality representing selected features or characteristics resulting from the creative effort of its author's choices, and it is designed for use when spatial relationships are primary, of primary relevance. Then another important branch that is a part of geomatics is photogrammetry. So, earlier the photogrammetry has been developed from aerial photography. So, two images that were taken separately and with overlap of both overlap and side lap, so 30% and 60%. Then we were using that with the help of a stereoscope. So, we were getting the stereoscopic vision. But now it has advanced. We are getting for photogrammetry, the same photogrammetry, now it has advanced to digital photogrammetry, and we are getting the stereometric or the stereoscopic images from the satellite itself. So, we have our own satellites, Indian satellite, Cartosat and Resourcesat, that is producing the stereoscopic images, and so we are very much able to view the terrain, of the whole earth in terms of 3D. The three-dimensional arrangement is visible with the help of the satellite images. And then comes the global positioning system, or the GPS, which is nothing but a constellation of almost 24 satellites, which is owned by the owned by USA. So, that is giving the exact position, or the fixed or moving objects, the exact position is given by that. So, in space and time where it is located. So, all over the earth's surface we understand that. So, and the important thing is that under any meteorological conditions that is available. So, global positioning system is there. So, we have our own indigenous positioning system that is under development, which we call the GAGAN, Geo Augmented Network for Understanding the Position. And another discipline is that is constituting geomatics is laser scanning system. So, which is used especially in mapping the archaeological sites and all that are well in use, the laser scanning system, to locate objects and measure their distance by means of the incident radiation in the optical frequencies, that is from 0.3 to 15 micrometers, and also that of the EMS or the electromagnetic spectrum. So, that is laser scanning is very much used now, and then comes the geographical information system, about which we will be discussing in detail after a few seconds. Then we have the decision support system, which is nothing but an elaborated system which are making use of the entire capabilities of geomatics. And then we say the expert systems, where we need a particular expert opinion or particular expert capabilities are required. We call that as the expert system. Photogrammetry and remote sensing, we have seen that, and especially there are two things when we consider remote sensing. And remote sensing can happen in both the ways, that is, one is active remote sensing, another is passive remote sensing. And the thing that we what we do in daytime or using visible light is what we call the passive remote sensing, because we are making use of sun's energy to record the energies given by sun, and that is reflected back from the object or the territory or the terrain, and that is being recorded by the sensors, and we call that as the passive remote sensing. And we have another area which we call the radar remote sensing, or which we call the active remote sensing. And the best thing that is adopted in active remote sensing is the radar. Just like the term RADAR, it is a palindrome actually, so that itself indicates why it is so, because it is a give and take, that is, the energy is sent and the backscattered energy is recorded, and the frequency range or the energy range is between 1 millimeter and 1 meter, which we call the microwave part of the electromagnetic spectrum. And the global positioning system, global satellite positioning system, we use different terms, and in order to get the signals, in order to understand what is the exact position of an object, whether it is moving or still or whatever it is. So, in order to understand that, only thing that we require is the ground station must be equipped with an antenna and a receiver. So, that is what we are having, that with that is glued or that is merged with our mobile phones now, but the accuracy is different, and that will decide what is the cost of the material, cost of the GPS receiver, whether how far you want, what is the precision, what is the accuracy. So, depending upon that, the GPS receiver may be that are of different configuration, and that will decide the cost. So, that is the global positioning system, which is again another branch of geomatics. And about laser scanning, what happens in laser scanning is that starting from a laser source, fixed or in motion, ground based or aerial, through the polar detection of a very large number of points surrounding the laser source and the radiometric measure of each of them, it is possible to recreate nearly continuously for three-dimensional image of the object for the surface of interest. The interesting thing is that it can be almost fully automated, and it is almost completely accurate. So, laser scanning is very much used in different types of surveying, and that is an important input in all kinds of geomatic studies. And another area is the WebGIS, web-based GIS. So, that is used especially to distribute geographic data remotely stored in dedicated machines for databases according to complex network architectures, and that are all public networks are there, private networks are there, client and server systems, many are used, and people are using that very much. And then coming to the crust of our this episode, that is the geographical information system. What is that actually? So, actually the first instance of using the geographical information system comes from the mapping of the cholera diseases, mapping of the cholera epidemic that has happened in 1854, the outbreak of cholera in London, 1854. So, a doctor named Dr. John Snow, he famously mapped the cholera outbreak, and he could understand that almost all cases of cholera is surrounding a particular well which is contaminated, well or a pump that was contaminated, and so he could map that all cases. So, that is the first instance where the geographical information system, even though it was not named like that, how it was coined or it was used in the history. And the exact term, the geographical information system, was coined by Dr. Roger Tomlinson of Canada, and that is as a part of the Canadian geographic information system, which was a first step in moving beyond computer mapping to include map layer overlays. And when we say geographical information system, it is a software for the management and manipulation of geographic data. The geographical information system appeared in the computer market in the mid 1960s. But when we see the progress that has happened in the market, we can understand that there is no much progress, because just like because there is a rapid increase in the configuration of the computers, there is the capabilities and size of the computers that has changed, the capacity has changed, but a consistent or a related growth was not visible until the 1990s. GIS was not developed in such a way, and the thing, when you go back, we will understand that the reason for that is the complicated data set that has to be managed by GIS. Okay. GIS unlike other systems like data management system, database management system, GIS has to manage spatial data sets. So, that requires special computer machines. So, that is the reason why GIS was not that much, GIS was not taking that much a revolution, that much an evolution. And then coming to the decision support systems and all, we are using that, administrators and planners who require geography for all kind of decision. So, they use GIS. So, GIS can be utilized by the decision supporters, the expert systems are using GIS. So, everywhere we are using that. So, when you go with the components, or when you try to understand what are the components of a GIS, or what you call actually GIS, or what you mean by geographic information system, is that we can say that it has got 6 components, which are nothing but the software component, the hardware component, which is the computer and the peripherals, then the people, or the people who are using that, it can be the programmer, the end user, the administrators, the planners, the layman who is working on a kiosk. Then the data, the different type of data sets, the different types of data sets that is being used, then the procedures or the manuals or the knowledge that we share and use, then comes the network. So, it is a 6 component system. And when you come to the applications of GIS, we can say that there are no areas which is left out, that is, which has got no application of GIS. So, first is the data and spatial asset management. Then we can do any kind of analysis, any, let it be science or social science, whatever it is, we can do analysis. Only thing is that it should have a spatial component in that. Then programming GIS programming in all areas, which is especially with open source GIS. Then coming the application programmable interfaces, the APIs. So, mapping APIs are produced, especially during the areas of disasters. We have understood that mapping APIs are important, and we have seen that the BUVEN, the geoportal of India, the indigenous geoportal of India, that they had made an API, BUVEN APK. So, that was available during the Chennai flood in 2015. Then modeling of different types of geoprocess, and so that is also possible by means of geographic information system. Then GIS based disaster modeling tools are there. Then cartography, visualization and map production are the areas wherein GIS is used. And another important and beautiful application of GIS is the geocoding, which is nothing but the idea of taking text based input such as a place name or street address and converting that to a coordinate presentation. And that we are all using that when we use the Google Maps or Google Earth. And a common everyday example is, that is like when we give a place name, a place of business or a city. So, the Google Maps, when you text that, and then you are getting that particular point on that. And for an example, suppose we are typing University of Calicut, Tenjipalam in the Google Earth area, I mean into the Google Earth monitor. So, we will see that it would be geocoded, and we will be guided to a position which is denoted by that is degree, minute, second coordinate, and that can be read like this: 11 degrees 8 minutes 1.81 seconds north latitude, and 75 degree 53 minutes 38.3 seconds in east longitude. So, when you or we can compare this GIS with a sandwich. So, how you are going to compare that? So, it is like the person desiring the sandwich can use any type of layer, because it is a layering concept, different layers or different information layers are used. So, the person who desires to use the sandwich, he can choose which are all the layers, and then he can use the toothpick to identify the layers, and he can use the toothpick to arrange one over the other. So, in which order he wants that, and the coordinate system will guarantee that, that is the coordinate system is the toothpick here. So, that is how we can say that the sandwich analogy is very much suiting, or that is very much suitable. The sandwich analogy is very much suitable to GIS. So, we have seen starting with the geography, so how it has evolved into a computer aided system, and what is geomatics, and how GIS is contributing to that. And now, so that is about this episode, and in the next episode we are going to see how GIS has got a particular edge in using that in the e-governance process. So, how it can be wisely used, okay, how intelligently we can use, how it has got an upper edge on other systems. So, that is what we will be seeing in the next episode. So, that is for e-governance, how GIS will be used. So, that is all about now. Thank you for watching.